Thanks for joining us on ntTV Nightly News. I'm Blake Weiland.
And I'm Jordan Miller. The country is currently being affected by two major weather systems in the form of water and fire. Nadia Romero has more.
From emergency responders in Texas plowing through waist-deep floodwaters, to California firefighters taking to the skies to release fire retardant on flames covering steep terrain. It's a world of difference as fall officially begins, but offers no weather relief. Floodwaters too high in parts of Texas from Tropical Storm Beta.
There's already some people in there that especially minivans, they can't get out. Small cars and minivans can't get out.
The catastrophic Bobcat fire, one of the largest in Los Angeles County history.
We're not naive to the magnitude of this year's fire season, which, as you know, is historic, simply is not without precedent, or is without precedent. 3.6 million acres, less than 300,000 the entire calendar year last year.
In one state, so much rain, turning streets into rivers. Some Texans waiting for the waters to recede.
The water's pretty high right now, but we've got the ability to mobilize.
And in another state, land so dry, it's perfect fuel for raging flames. In the rubble, a glimmer of hope. But the fleeting moments of happiness don't outweigh the loss of homes, businesses, and life. Firefighter Charles Morton killed battling a Sacramento fire on Thursday, all as the end of hurricane and wildfire seasons are still weeks away. I'm Nadia Romero reporting.
Well, it was a little gloomy today in Denton, and I already missed the sun. ntTV weather anchor Andrew Fancher is outside with the latest. Andrew?
Well, it is 71 degrees here in Union Circle with wind speeds of around 10 miles per hour. Now come tonight, temperatures will dip into the mid-60s with a 15% chance of rain. Now come tomorrow, you'll see the temperatures bump back up to 70 degrees with a good chance of rain up until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Now more on our 7-day forecast later in the report. Back to y'all in the studio.
Thanks, Andrew. Things have been heating up on Capitol Hill since with the passing of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The conversations have shifted from if a nominee should be named to when one will be named. The predicted frontrunner for the position seems to be the federal appellate judge and Notre Dame law professor, Judge Amy Coney Barrett. Judge Barrett was a finalist to be nominated after Justice Antonin Scalia passed away. President Trump met with Judge Barrett on Monday to discuss the nomination. Many reasons Republican senators are backing Judge Barrett are why Democrats do not want her to be nominated. Judge Barrett is a strong voice for faith and the law and has many concerned with her possible views on issues like abortion and immigration. President Trump tweeted that he plans to name his nominee on the Saturday at the White House. With the November election fast approaching, it's hard to remember everything you need to do to register. Our live reporter Michaela Goose has a solution. Michaela?
Thanks, Blake. Yeah, with presidential elections less than 2 months away, voter registration is something on everybody's mind. Now, in order to register to vote, you do need to be 18 years of age on the day of elections, a citizen of the United States, and a resident in the county which you applied in. Now, you can also receive an application for a ballot by mail, which is going to look something like this. Now, don't forget, voter registration ends on October 5th in Texas, and early voting in Texas is going to be in between October 13th and October 30th. You can register in person or online at vote.gov. I hope to see you all at the polls. Thank you so much. That is all I have for you tonight. Back to you in studio.
Thanks, Michaela. Politics at the local level tonight. Here in Denton, the City Council will be voting on whether you are still required to wear a mask in public. Kayla Holt is live with more on this. Kayla?
Denton residents, be sure not to throw away those face masks just yet. City Council members are considering extending the declaration of disaster that requires businesses to mandate visitors to wear face coverings. In July, Governor Greg Abbott issued an executive order requiring the use of face coverings in public spaces in counties with 20 or more COVID cases. Violators of the executive order can result in a fine up to $250. That is all I have for you tonight. Back to you, Blake.
Some Texans are heartbroken and angry after a historically black cemetery in East Austin was vandalized. CNN's Jordan Bontke interviewed a woman with family members buried there.
All over it, pretty much.
Natalie Marshall says she has family buried all throughout the Evergreen Cemetery on Austin's east side.
Horrified.
But it's a family member closest to an entrance gate that was spray painted.
This is not just a random act of vandalism. This is a purpose behind this.
This headstone is one of 15 that were vandalized sometime over the weekend. The Parks and Rec Department says they discovered it this morning, and right now it appears to be random. Stefan Hardiman drove in from Round Rock to make sure his family headstone was untouched.
What I would say, this is our cemetery, because I grew up here in East Austin.
The Evergreen Cemetery was established in 1926 for Austin's African-American community. 2 years later, the city adopted a plan to explicitly segregate African Americans by only offering city services east of what is now I-35. Among the many prominent members of the black community buried here, this is the resting place for Oscar Leonard Thompson, the first black graduate at the University of Texas.
My mother's here, I have uncles here.
Roy Jones was part of the steady stream of family that came back to check on Monday.
You wouldn't want nobody to do that to your family.
In East Austin, Jordan Bontke, CBS Austin News.
The police are still investigating the case. There's no word of any suspects or arrests.
Coming up, an on-campus scam that could cost some students some real money.
And one UNT's response to COVID. Stay with us.
It is a record nobody wanted, but today the number of deaths in the United States from COVID-19 has topped 200,000. However, that number is believed to be much higher because many COVID deaths early in the spring and summer were thought to be caused by other illnesses. The number of lives lost in this country is roughly equal to the population of Salt Lake City, Utah, or Huntsville, Alabama. Meanwhile, the fight against COVID-19 continues to mean changes in the way many of us live our lives, even small children. This year, Halloween will be a much different sort of holiday. Federal health officials are recommending you stay away from your favorite haunted house or indoor costume parties. They recommend no trick-or-treating, no costume masks, no indoor parties, and no haunted houses. They are all high-risk activities or items that can carry the virus. So what can you do? How about pumpkin carving, outdoor scavenger hunts, or a virtual costume party? Well, it certainly is a thought.
With UNT opening back up for a social distancing school year, the university continues to test and track COVID-19 cases for students, faculty, and staff. Although rates have remained low compared to other universities, students and staff will still take precautions in order to maintain a healthy college campus. UNT developed protocols for contact tracing. UNT students can have direct or indirect campus impact when diagnosed with COVID-19. Direct is when the person was on campus within 2 days of symptoms starting. Indirect is if they were not on campus during that time frame. Both impacts will receive CDC criteria before they can return to campus after being diagnosed. Senior Casey Pagan tested positive in the first few weeks of school and felt like he was well informed about what to do.
It was kind of surreal, I guess. I needed 2 negative test results, so I went back again and got another negative. Then I was cleared. I definitely think the precautions as far as just like social distancing, a mask. I mean, keep your Germ-X on you or whatever stuff like. I guess I can understand people not wanting to stay in their house for months, but I mean, that's just how it is now.
The site that tracks the number of active COVID cases on UNT's campus updates every Friday. Cases will be removed from the total once they have met CDC criteria for symptom-based recovery. UNT police have issued a warning to students about a new form of scam going around. ntTV's Danielle Zachariah has more on this story.
As UNT is now a few weeks into the new school year, campus police are alerting students about what is considered as a job offer scam. This scam targets students by offering them a position from an unknown individual with the pay over a negotiated amount. A fraudulent check will then be given to them to deposit and pay an overage to a third party, which will result in the victim losing money. According to UNT Community Relations Officer David Cossey, this is not the first time the police has dealt with scams like this one.
It's not a new scam. It's something that goes on over time, and I mean it's been going around for years. But this most recent one that brought that. The most recent post that we put out about it was somebody had reported that someone had attempted to scam them in that fashion.
On September 1st, the police department took to Twitter to post about the rise in scams and tips on how to avoid it. Most students have been receiving similar job offers, including UNT junior Jenny Jones.
It was like $17 an hour, a very flexible schedule, and it was like perfect for college kids, and that's really all it had stated, was that it was just this awesome, great opportunity.
The UNT police intend to keep the community safe and are working diligently to prevent anyone from becoming a victim. Reporting for ntTV, I'm Danielle Zachariah.
If you or anyone you know has been the victim of a scam, then contact UNT police as soon as possible.
Well, we know that here in Denton we're getting drizzle and clouds, but let's check back in with Andrew to see how the weather looks for the rest of North Texas. Andrew?
Right now, North Texas is really favoring this 70-degree weather with a few variations throughout. We have 66 degrees in Paris, 69 in McKinney and Sherman, and 74 degrees in Dallas and Fort Worth. Now, as for current conditions across the state, we have 91 degrees in El Paso, but as we move towards our Gulf Coast, you will see temperatures drop astronomically, where in Houston it is 77 degrees with a flood watch until Wednesday. Now, as we look at our 7-day forecast, you will see that Tropical depression beta, will be influencing Wednesday and Thursday's weather. We'll see some cool 70-degree temperatures, but then on Friday, the sun will come back out at 84 degrees. And then Saturday, we'll have some 88-degree weather, but come Sunday, we're back into the 90s. That's all out here. Back to y'all in the studio.
Thanks. Thanks, Andrew. Coming up, NASA plans to send a new group up to the moon, and one member will be making history.
And a COVID-safe local art gallery. We'll be back. The moon may find it has a new visitor in the near future. NASA is unveiling plans to send the first woman to the moon. NASA's $28 billion plan aims to put both a man and a woman on the moon in 2024. This week-long trip would mark the first time humans have stepped foot on the moon since 1972. One NASA administrator said the mission will focus on scientific discovery and economic benefits. The plan is to begin the slow development of the Artemis base camp. This base will be used for long-term moon exploration missions. Wall Street's iconic Fearless Girl statue can be seen wearing a new accessory. A silk scarf has been placed around the statue's neck. The gesture comes in honor of the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who served as a Supreme Court justice, as well as being an icon in the fight for women's rights in the United States. Ginsburg was a New York native.
Many businesses are closed because of the pandemic. However, one art gallery in Carrollton is safely showcasing art. Jessica Jalal has a scoop.
Pop-up art gallery that is taking place and all the precautions they can so that art lovers can view up-and-coming artists. Take a look.
Art and culture unite at the Sonny House Art Gallery right in Carrollton, Texas. Sonny House is owned by photographer and artist Missy Burton, and the gallery showcases up-and-coming artists. I got the chance to speak with the owner, Missy Burton, about how the art gallery is staying strong during the pandemic.
We do temperature checks. Everyone has to wear a mask. And then after their 45-minute time slot, they leave, and we sanitize the gallery for the next group of folks to come in.
The gallery is currently exhibiting DeMarcus McGoy, a visual artist and graphic designer native to Oak Cliff, Texas, that currently resides in Brooklyn, New York. Not letting what's happening in the world stop him from doing what he does best, he continues to use his paintings, virtual art, and pop-up art to inspire people. His work takes a different spin on popular movies, magazines, and TV shows from his youth by speaking for minorities.
Everything that's going on in the world, I feel like it's important to have Black representation.
One of his most popular pieces is his Breakfast at Tiffany's painting featuring a Black Lives Matter tagline.
What if the lead actress was actually a woman of color? Like, what would she look like? And what would that mean for black girls, young black girls, to see this? You know, even grown black women, what would it look like if they saw a representation of themselves, you know, playing this role, you know, for Breakfast at Tiffany's?
McGoy's Culture exhibition will be available to view until October 24th. And Sonny House will continue to be a place for artists to showcase their work.
What a great way to enjoy the upcoming weekend. You can visit Sonny House Thursdays and Fridays from 6 to 9:30 p.m. and Saturdays from 1 to 5 p.m. Back to you, Blake.
Entertainment has taken a few hits during the pandemic, but it looks like things could be getting back to some form of normal. David Daniel has more.
I keep my head above water, don't let me drown.
Brian, what's a girl doing here holding a gun?
Where you headed, Maggie?
Trying to get to my mom.
What's the main rule again?
Only make the good shot, not just...
Are you a hockey fan, Blake?
As a matter of fact, I am, and let me tell you, I cannot wait to watch the Stars take the ice tomorrow in the Stanley Cup Final. Let's head over to our sports anchor, Michelle, to hear more about what we can expect. Michelle?
Thanks, guys. I can't wait to watch Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final either. After a tough loss in Game 2, the Stars could use a big win. I'll have more after the break. In an era of uncertainty, one bright light has appeared. College football is back. But with many teams practicing and going to class, the coronavirus cannot stay contained. The University of Notre Dame is one of the first colleges to postpone a game because of rising positive cases. 13 total football players at the university have tested positive out of a total of 94 cases on campus. The Fighting Irish were supposed to play Wake Forest this weekend, but with 13 players in isolation and 10 more in quarantine, the game will likely not be played until December. After a long wait, the NHL season is coming to a close. The Stanley Cup Final has begun, and the Dallas Stars are tied 1-1 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Stars started off the series with a strong win, 4-1. Goalie Anton Hudobin set a Stanley Cup final record with 22 saves in the third period of the game. But on Monday night, the Stars weren't breaking any records. Dallas racked up penalties, couldn't win many faceoffs, and struggled possessing the puck. Game 3 will be played tomorrow night at 7 p.m. The Stars may have lost last night, but at least one Texas team came out of the weekend with a win. The Dallas Cowboys brought home a big win on Sunday. With only a 0.1% chance of winning the second quarter, Dallas came back from a 30-point deficit to win the game against the Atlanta Falcons by 1 point. The Texans, however, haven't had any luck winning a game. Houston is 0-2 after losing to the Chiefs in Week 1 and the Ravens in Week 2, 33-16. The Cowboys will play the Seahawks on Sunday at 3:25, and Houston will play the Vikings, who are also 0-2, Sunday at 12. That's all I have for sports. Back to you, Blake.
Thanks, Michelle. Well, we all know that education is important, but sometimes things get in the way. For one Texan man, it was a war, and it interrupted his high school plans. But he showed his determination, and at 84 has the diploma to prove it. Doug Warner has a story.
This has been a big week for Paul Mackey of Red Lick, Texas, and his family. A week that comes over 65 years late.
Surprised. Very surprised after all these years.
Now 84 years old, Mackey, a military veteran, received a high school diploma from the Texarkana, Texas School District.
Very thankful and very proud.
Mackey was scheduled to graduate high school in 1954, but you won't see his photo in the yearbook because he opted to join the military during the Korean War, spending 10 years in as a Marine.
It just seemed to be the exciting thing to do in those days. You know, the Korean War was going on, and I had some friends that had just come back. And
he sacrificed for his country.
Mackey's wife, Ann, is a retired educator and was the driving force making this day possible.
It's an honor to me as an educator that he went back and accomplished something.
The Texas Education Code allows school districts to offer diplomas to honorably discharged veterans who served in World War II, Korea, or Vietnam, and were scheduled to graduate between 1940 and 1975. While serving in the military, Mackey was able to get his GED and later went on to college. But he now says he feels his education is complete.
You kids out there that see this, be smart. Go to school and stay in school.
Thanks for watching ntTV Nightly News.
Join us again tomorrow, tonight at 6 here on North Texas Television.